Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Chef Life here with one of my good friends, Matty from the Clarendon Hotel near Grassington. Yeah, really keen. Been looking forward to this one. Been a while coming.
Should be good.
Did some filming back in January, but we weren't quite at the podcast stage. From there, yeah, we've come back for a second tour type thing. But yeah, man. So yeah, really keen for this one. So what have you been up to? Just got back from Australia?
Yeah, so me and my partner went to Australia early Feb. We were there for 6 weeks because Tess is actually dual citizen.
Yeah.
And then we got back 1st of April after the award ceremony in London for Eat Game Awards.
Yeah.
And it's just been non-stop really from then. So it feels like we haven't actually been.
Yeah. Fantastic. Awesome. So so we've been working with you now probably a year and a half,
Yeah.
let's say. So what kind of brought you to here, if you want to kind of take it away from?
What brought me to the Dales was actually Chefs of Chefs agency. That's where I met Will and Andy from Shibden Mill actually. Said yes to just one day in Grassington, loved it. So I was there for about 6 months. Me and the head chef there, we were trying to implement a tasting menu, trying to bring something a bit different to what was just a basic pub.
Yeah.
We ended up then at the Woolly Sheep. That then sort of, in our opinion, slowly started to slide. The brewery weren't wanting what we were wanting. Then I got a message from one of the guys in the kitchen here, who I worked with previously, and just said, look, we're looking for a chef. Do you fancy it? So I looked online. I kind of knew about Lionel and what he'd done. Like the ethos of the pub. And that was it, really. I've been here 2 years. I wanted to do something a bit better. I wanted to improve myself as a chef. I wanted to get away from just pub food. Yeah. Focus on more of the fine dining bits and being able to experiment properly without someone behind you saying he can't really do that.
Yeah, it's got to be
He's very good at, letting me kind of have free reign and experiment with different flavours. So that's why we got in touch. You got in touch with us actually, and we still use you guys now. It's just an incredible, place to work. We are massive on game.
Yeah.
The amount of game we go through is sickening at times.
But I think it's really interesting what you're able to do with that. Do you know what I mean? Like that. So I really like game, but then I'd say not everyone feels that way. But then when you taste your food, I think it opens it up.
Yeah, I mean,
flavors.
I've always been a fan of game. I've got family in Scotland who love the stuff. So when I came here, I was already quite knowledgeable of it, but not to the extent I am now. And a lot of people either love it or hate it. So what we try and do is, even though you're eating either grouse, partridge or pheasant, which some people go, oh, it's a bird, I don't want to eat it.
Yeah.
We try and implement it so it's, you know what it is, but you can't actually tell it's standard game kind of flavour. Because, I mean, pigeon, mallard and grouse are very irony and very game strong, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Whereas your partridges and your pheasants are quite vanilla, so a bit like chicken in a way. We did a tasting menu recently, actually, and so many people said, I didn't know game could be done this way. And that was the whole point. Everyone can do, like a red bird, so grouse or mallard with beetroot and chocolate, which we have done before, but we want to try and broaden it with, the Japanese influence or the Korean influences or Indian influences. And we are slowly getting to where more and more people are eating or choosing game off the menu, which, it's fantastic.
And you see, what we found really interesting of late is your setting. I mean, besides, it's what I imagine an American would think of the Yorkshire Dales.
Yeah, it's very country pub. It's very old school.
In terms of location. But then, do you find with your customer base, is it predominantly locals, or are you getting people travelling?
I mean, depending on what time of year. I mean, especially now we're coming into the summer, I'd say it's more 60-40 in the favour of tourists. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of holiday cottages in Hebden. We've got loads of B&Bs in Grassington who do venture out. Obviously in the winter times it is more locals, but even the locals now are coming in, and they used to have just pies or fish and chips. Right. They are experimenting more with the a la carte.
And I think that to me is really interesting, because if you look at, again, Shibden Mill and stuff, like, you've got a localish pub. Yeah. That I imagine, Joe's had the same beer for the last 12 years from behind the bar, but then you're allowing him to venture into these Japanese flavours to the other side of the world, quite literally, to what they've probably grown up on. I think that's testament to you as a chef, and again, what Lionel sort of set out here. and able to push that. And I think it's a really cool little experience, like getting your nan to try something new with it.
I mean,
you know?
It's mad. I mean, I'm from Halifax, so I'm always looking at what Will's doing. He's ridiculous. I mean, we've had a conversation before. It's scary what he can do.
Yeah.
And he's done such a good job there. Like I said, a bit like here, he's taken something which it's always been known as a very good pub.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know where it was, you'd never find it. It's just middle of nowhere in a way, down by a riverbank, and you walk in, and I feel like the Shibden Mill is a more of a traditional feel than here.
Yeah.
It's a bit dark. It's
pubby.
It's very pubby here. I mean, me and my partner went last year, and we walked in. You go, right, we're in a proper pub, and then all of a sudden the food comes, and you go, okay, we're not in a pub anymore. It's incredible. And that's, we are trying to do that here, but we also have to remember the roots of the pub. There aren't many people in Hebden. We have to cater for everybody's needs. Some people just want to come in and have a gammon.
Yeah.
And it is frustrating sometimes because all you want to do, come on, try this. We've worked really hard on this. But then again, at the same time, other people just come and they go, we've actually heard of, we've seen you guys on whatever. We've come to try.
But I think don't you think that's the beauty of when you step back from what your core job is, whenever you decide to get into chefing, you've got all these other elements in play to that role. So you're not just in the kitchen. You've got to figure out, right, okay, well, Margaret and Sue want a gammon steak, but then actually, Dave is really interested in trying a teriyaki, whatever, and I'm doing this with venison, and then I'm going to try this different ingredient. And then you've got all these different sort of levels to your role that you're having to bring into the way you influence that menu and then equally run the kitchen. I think it's fascinating just that different levels as to how your job, probably what you imagined it would be, and then spanning out.
I mean, whoever goes into a kitchen and thinks all you're going to do is cook, you need a reality check. I mean, if you're a commie or a CDP, that's pretty much what you're going to be doing. But I never realised until, this is my first head chef position, and I didn't realise at all how much actually went into running a kitchen. It's not, like I said, it's not just cooking and playing up some food. It's, this person can't have this, or this person can't have that because, they'll be poorly, etc. You've got to be so on it and so on the ball. And
then pushing yourself as well with it.
Exactly.
I think that's really, like, it inspires us to a degree in terms of what we do. Because I've said before with some of our other customers, like when I look at innovation, I do have you in my mind and Will in my mind and stuff, and be like, okay, cool, I think Will might like that, but I think Matty might like that, and Matty's bought something similar before, and I reckon I'll go for that. That's pretty wicked. So, but that equally pushes us to then get out of my comfort zone and try and think more like you guys, which that gives me sort of energy within the role, within the business, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a bit like that when you do a menu. We're all up for trying completely different things, but also you've got to look at the past couple of menus you've gone on, and then you look back at what's sold the best, and then you've got to go, well, that sold really well, so not necessarily keep it the same, but do you keep it similar or change it up slightly because you know it's going to sell, or do you take that risk? And a couple of times, we've gone, no, we're going to completely change it, and it's backfired, and you go, right, okay, we need to kind of bring it back to this, because again, with it being very Yorkshire pub, and the people around here are very traditional. Once they've stepped out of that comfort zone, they're only going to step out of it further a tiny bit. They're not going to go from 1 to 9. They're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got to slowly bring it back.
Sure.
But it keeps things exciting. It really does. You know, some dishes will go, right, we're going to completely change it. I mean, we've got a tartare of trout on, which we get from 400 yards down the road.
Lovely.
And that is very, very much cottage food based.
Yeah.
All the ingredients there from you guys and that influence. So we haven't really changed it, and then we changed it actually last week, but still we've kept that Japanese influence. So we've got the wasabi going on it now instead of egg yolk. We've got roasted sesame dressing on it instead of the aged soy. So we're still kind of keeping the initial idea of the dish there, but we are trying to change it up. Level it up a tiny bit, and just to change it up so we're not, we don't want to be stagnant. We don't want people to come in and predict what we're doing. We want people to go, right, what are they going to do next time we're here?
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting though, because if you live in a little village like round here, you're giving those customers access to somewhere they can have Michelin quality food.
Thank you.
As well as having stick and chips, whatever. And I think that's that sort of that sort of old school World War II, like heart of the community. I think that's we've talked a lot with customers recently around what we're seeing more of is people like yourself, people like Will, and those sorts of outlets where actually you're catering to a variety of needs and price points. Where I can go celebrate my daughter's birthday and have a fantastic meal for a celebration that I wouldn't have anywhere else in the world, or equal and come in and have gammon and eggs.
Exactly.
And it's that you've got one location for lots of different occasions.
Exactly, and that's why we're so lucky to be in the position we are with the game. I mean, going back to Shibden Mill, we ate there last year. We had the tasting menu, and we had the tasting menu. We did the wine pairing, and the bill came, and we were both staggered at how little it was. And we, if you'd shut your eyes and just eaten the food, you would not have known you were in Yorkshire in a pub. I mean, with the game here, we get 4 or 5 different types of birds. We get deers most of the year. We get rabbits most of the year, and we're getting them for cheap. We pay a fraction of a price most restaurants would for, say, deers. We get the whole deer in. We skin it ourselves. We break it down, so we take the bones for stocks, and it allows us to give people that sort of Rolls Royce cut of meat without having to pay 40, 50, 60 quid for it. And it's a nice feeling when people come in and they go, why can we have that for such a little amount of money? And we use that to our advantage because we have such a great variety of different meats and we have such an incredible access of them. We are able to do it for slightly less money. So people don't have to come out and break the bank. They can have a Rosette awarded meal and not have to break into a £50 note.
But then it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that, we talked a lot with the lockdown thing and stuff about keep it local and all this sort of stuff. It was kind of a vibe, and I feel like it's gone away. But actually, what I really like, sort of personally, is again that and I know as a consumer that the guy who shot the deer.
Exactly.
You know the deer. Like you've butchered it yourself, which is a total different skill set, and then it's served on a plate. It's a whole farm to fork thing in reality.
We know exactly where it's come from. We know how old it is. The guy who shoots deers for us, he comes in here once a week and eats. Our trout farmer, he's drinking here every Saturday night. And the actual they shoot from maybe half a mile up the road.
Awesome.
They're all personal friends of Lionel's. They're all obviously now friends of mine. And you'll just come out on any night of the week, and 1 or 2 of them will be here. And we like to keep it as like a close knit community, so then we know exactly where things are coming. We've got locals who live in Grassington, and one of them, they'll knock on the door and he'll have a massive box of artichokes. Because there's 3 or 4 allotments down the road. And just go, look, if you ever need anything, let us know. So we'll go pick herbs from there. We'll go pick nasturtiums from there. We'll go, there's apples, there's fennels and everything, and we try and keep it as local as we can.
But that's inevitably, again, going back to the tourist thing, like if you want to experience Yorkshire and Yorkshire food, like that to me is true what you'd read in an Enid Blyton type novel, isn't it?
Exactly,
It's that local community, local village, like where you're getting the full experience of what Mother Nature's given you around. And then you're, pimping it up to a degree with awesome ingredients you're getting from around the world, and then allowing them those flavours, but with things that where they've come from, everything through and through. That's really cool.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you're never going to be able to supply a full menu from a small area. So we do use Hodgson's fish. They are based in Hartlepool. We use R&J, which in my opinion are the best butchers. They are fantastic. I mean, but they're in Ripon, so that's still Yorkshire. Cheeses we get from Courtyard Dairy, which again, well, I think it's Lancashire now, isn't it? I mean, you guys are Yorkshire based. Yes, you it's Japanese ingredients, but it's still using fairly local suppliers. And especially with the times we're in, it's scary. We'll sit down once a week, once a couple of weeks, and go through all the bills, etc. And it's you see things slowly going up, and how the hell are we going to get through this time? Use local suppliers. Use the people in your community, and use your friends for you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. And it's saved us so many times.
But then that's the thing. I think what's interesting with the UK, I find, is I listen to a lot of podcasts, but it was by an American guy, and he was saying like there's a real disconnect nowadays around like people don't know who the name are. And that local community thing. And I think the Brits are built on that, being an island nation.
Yeah.
But then you go into a larger city and stuff, you don't talk to the name.
No.
You don't know the names to a degree.
No, I mean, we've just moved house and we know one neighbour.
Yeah.
Because she's lovely and she's taken our bins out for us. But that's it. But I mean, in Hebden, you walk down the road, everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
Because also, especially working here, but you know who they are, you know where they live, you know roughly how old they are, you know what family members they've got.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful place to work and to be a part of. Yeah. And it's amazing, We're very keen on
you're
that.
giving them versus say Wakefield, where I'm sort of semi from, like, I don't know enough of the locals there to know what I'm eating.
Exactly.
Just pick a pub.
Yeah.
Whereas those guys, like, I know Bob and Sheila or whatever,
yeah.
they'll come here till the day they die.
Oh, 100%.
They know you, they know Lionel, they know what they're eating. But they're getting that experience of, again, Rosette, Michelin quality food, in my opinion, on the table, which you wouldn't get in a major city. Or,
no,
like you say, for the price you'd be paying
exactly,
man behind a curtain or something. What's that, 200 quid a meal or something? Like,
probably more now.
Yeah, so it's not. I just think it's really cool what you guys are delivering in this area.
Yeah.
And again, in my opinion, like a really strong representation of what Yorkshire is. I'm Yorkshire through and through, and that's where my heartland is in it. I think it's really cool. And then equally bringing in these different flavours and giving people those experiences of how you've infused it into quality Yorkshire produce.
That's it. We completely understand people can't always afford to eat out, and people can't afford to eat out more than twice a week, maybe on occasions.
But don't you find people find the money if it's worth the quality?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. If I'm a firm believer in if it's worth it, I'll happily pay for it.
Yeah.
If it's not, and it's someone doing it because just to make an extra few quid, then I'm not going to go and support their business.
Yeah.
And again, that's what we try and do. We want people to go and get, you know what? No, that was worth every single penny we paid for.
Yeah.
And sometimes it bites us in the foot. You know, we sometimes go, right, we haven't, the margin is as good this time, but people come back.
Exactly, and it's about how you. What I've learned in this business over the last 6 years is that A, sleep's overrated apparently, but B, you
completely agree.
But no, but you've got to fail, you've got to fall, and you've got to figure out what you do with that, and then how do you come back?
Exactly.
And, if you can't, then
it's all a learning curve. If you start something as a business, what I've been shown, Lionel's fantastic at showing me the in and outs of the business, because obviously.
Well, you're heavily involved in this place, you can tell.
Yeah, I try to be, and it's sort of using him for his knowledge, which he'll openly admit he wants me to do, because the end goal is for myself and my partner Tess to have our own business, whether that's a restaurant or a pop-up store or whatever. And if you think you're going to go into somewhere and not have any issues, you need a reality check.
Oh, you're right, man.
Whether it's food costs are too high, or your water bill's too high, or even if something simple, the chair leg's broken.
Yeah.
You've got to either pay someone or you've got to find the time and the money to repair that. Yeah. And I know someone who went into a restaurant, first ever head chef job, first years, nothing's ever gone wrong. My GP's this high. And it's like, okay, sweet. And then the reality was his GP was a third of what it should have been because he hadn't been checking it. He just thought it was this living on a cloud situation. It's like, you've got to be prepared to fall. And it's how you, like you said, it's how you get back up from that.
Yeah.
You've got to dust yourself off and go again, because it's not easy.
No.
And that's how you determine the good from the great, in my opinion.
Yeah, you just got to keep going, baby. Like that's exactly. Kind of the key with it. But it's no, mate, I think you're definitely on that trajectory of doing your own thing. So just going back a bit, so what brought you into chefing then? What kind of take me from young Matty to?
My story of this and my mother's story of this will be very different. I've always enjoyed cooking. And I hate to say, because I think he's an horrendous chef, but Jamie Oliver got me into cooking.
Yeah, he was a lot of people, man.
He was the first he was the first person who made cooking look cool.
Yeah.
And then he ruined school dinners.
Yeah.
And my mum would say, from 2 years old, he was on a stool staring empty bowls in the living room, pretending he was a TV chef, which is probably true.
Yeah.
But I've always loved cooking, and it's really the only thing I've ever been kind of half decent at.
Yeah.
I was never fantastic at school.
Yeah.
I was always the kid at school, parents even go, he tries his best. It makes him laugh, but he tries his best, which is the worst thing you could ever hear as a parent, because he's not doing very well.
Yeah, it's not practical.
So yeah, got into cooking, starting an apprenticeship. So I was like, you know what, I really want to see what I can do with this. Is it as glamorous as people say, or is it just an absolute nightmare? It's both.
Yeah.
And then I never really looked back. Started a little deli, in a little deli in Lindley, in Huddersfield.
Nice.
They had a restaurant a couple of doors down, which is tapas.
Yeah.
So I was there 3 nights a week, deli 3 days a week. And then that was it, really. Moved to a restaurant called Eric's, which is, he's sort of a Huddersfield celebrity, shall we say.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from him of some things what to do, some things not what not to do. But he drilled into me, nothing leaves until it's perfect.
Yeah.
Whether it is the first time you played it or the 9th time you played it, you have to make sure things are perfect.
Awesome.
And that's it. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the hours, which is a very strange thing to say because I have no social life.
Right.
But I'm very lucky to have a partner who's also in the trade.
Yeah.
We both work here now. So.
Oh, just moved up here.
Yeah, she moved up here in May.
What's she doing here?
She's running out front, or she's helping run out front.
Yeah.
We wanted to work together before we take the big step to
it makes sense.
go on our own.
Yeah, don't kill each other. Yeah.
But yeah, always love cooking. I still love cooking now. People say to me, "You're not tired of cooking when you get home?" I was like, "Well, no, because it's sometimes when it's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, I don't want to cook.
Yeah.
But on my days off, I'm going home today and I'm cooking a load of food for a couple of people. I just love it. I love exploring different flavours, different cuisines. It's just a real passion of mine.
Just honing your craft, brother. There's nothing wrong with
exactly, yeah. And I love the feeling of creating something, and there's a smile on my face, as soppy as it sounds or as cheesy as it sounds, and someone tries that and they go, "That's fucking amazing."
Yeah.
Such a satisfying feeling.
Yeah.
And I don't think that ever will go away.
Yeah.
So I can't see myself ever doing anything other than cooking, really.
Yeah.
Which is rare because I know a lot of chefs, sadly, who have fallen out with the trade because either the hours or there's, in summer especially, the heat of the kitchen is unreal. But you get through it.
Yeah, there's levels to the game. I think what I've learned in this is that you get some people, it's just a job.
Yeah.
It pays the bills.
I've worked with a lot of people, it's just a job.
Yeah. And then, you go from that to people like yourself, Will, there's a marked difference between care and interest and everything else amongst that. But then equally, you can tell that in terms of what you serve. And inevitably, I think why I've always got frustrated with some people in different roles of being like, well, you can earn a lot more. You can fulfill life goals, earn money, whatever it is that's on your agenda, just by putting more effort into whatever it is that you're doing.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, not necessarily just in our industry, but in any industry you go to, the more work you put in, the more successful you'll be.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in money doesn't mean you're successful.
No.
Going home happy every day, in my eyes, is being successful.
Yeah.
I would rather get by and have a smile on my face and, know that I've done well.
Yeah.
Then I'm miserable, but it's all right. I've got 100k in the bank.
Yeah. But don't you find though, so one of my best friends, Lee Hirsch, and no one will be listening to this, to shout out to him. Like he epitomizes to me, like, I try and surround myself with people like you, him, and things where the sort of they level up their own game. So I know Lee started with NHS Direct just on the phones, and now he's some senior director in DHL. And he's just grounded out, not being focused on money, but being focused on being the best at what he does.
Exactly.
And then I see elements of that in you, in Will, and all these other people. I'm like, that's why I want to inspire. You inspire me by being like that. Because then I'm like, I don't want to come to you with some subpar product and be like, oh, it's from Japan, bro. Yeah.
Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Some Japanese stuff.
I want it to be shit hot. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I think if you can find your passion in whatever you do with that, whether it's, like, say, running a deli, doing what you do, doing what I do, doing what Rianne does, whatever, that's the key. Just, you want to be the best at what you do. Don't worry about money. So I think it's taken me too long to realise that message.
Yeah.
Once you get it, you get it.
Exactly. I mean, it took a while for me to sort of get that sort of philosophy about, how working hard. Not necessarily had to work hard, but obviously the harder you work when you're younger, the more benefits you'll get when you're older. You will be able to take more time off with your family, because ideally you've got your own place.
Yeah.
I know I said money doesn't bring happiness, but you work harder, you sacrifice your younger years, it does give you that stability in life. So you can treat your family, you can treat your friends, etc.
But it gives you an experience like you've just been in Australia.
Exactly,
if you were doing some dead end job that you weren't asked for. You're not having that experience, and not
Oh God, no! I mean,
have that kind of experience.
I mean, Australia was absolutely fantastic, and some of the food over there was unbelievable. Some, certain food I knew I'd be getting, but others I'd be like, I never thought I'd.
Is that giving you inspiration?
Oh,
where do you
100%.
take your inspiration from? Is it through traveling and trying like Will?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of eating out. We don't always have the time to do it, and obviously with everything going on, we've got a wedding to plan for, etc. We don't necessarily always have the funding to go out. So we always look for little local restaurants.
Nice.
There's a restaurant in Skipton called Effendi. It's not the prettiest food, but my God, it tastes like it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So eating out always gives me inspiration. Things I see on either YouTube. I'm always watching chef videos on YouTube. Just what are other chefs doing? Yeah. Whether it's a pasta restaurant down the road or it's a 3 Michelin star. Just what ingredients does it take to make this kind of dish? So I always get inspiration from that. Even reading a book. I've got several cookbooks at home, and I'll just pick one up one day and read it. Just not necessarily for the pictures or the food, just to how other people are.
Get your mind going.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's constantly going. I've got notes and notes and notes on my phone of just dish ideas or elements I've seen or thought of. I'll take Larry out for a walk in the morning, and you go down there. There's wild watercress, there's 3-cornered leeks, there's wild garlic, there's crab apples, there's elderflowers, and it just gets your mind going. Like, what can I do with that next week, or what can I do with this when it comes up?
I think that's, for me, we've sort of taken on board from people like yourself, like we're trying to be a creative business for creative people, which I think is a different approach to ingredient supply, because I think it's underrated how creative you have to be in your role. Like, I know you're not painting a picture or whatever, and the typical creative person that you think, but yeah, it really interests me in terms of how your mind has to work to see that. And then go, right, cool, like there's some wild watercress there, what can we do with that? Oh, that'd go really well with venison, or whatever you're doing in your mind. But it's just the steps that you must be taking, like subconsciously to a degree. There, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon Ramsay sort of put a point on it years ago. He said, you bust your ass for 14, 15 hours a day, and a plate goes out in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the customer will eat that and go, that was nice.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't actually appreciate how much time goes into not even being a head chef, just a chef. Me and my lads in there were working 12, 13, 14-hour days.
Yeah.
And then someone goes, oh, well, that wasn't to my liking.
Yeah.
It hurts. It does hurt. But then you've got to understand you're never going to please 100% of the people.
No.
Sat Baines once said, I'm not a master in food. I'm a master in my food.
Yeah.
So once you sort of listen to that and you get that into you, like, well, if you don't like it, I'm sorry, you don't like it.
Yeah.
I know it's good.
Yeah.
My boss knows it's good, and he backs us.
Yeah.
He backs the pub on this decision, etc. Will, Andy, Tommy Banks, and things like that.
Yeah.
They'll all say the same. Like, someone don't like it, they don't like it. You can't please everyone.
It's funny. We were with Mark at the Owl yesterday, and he made a similar good comment there. So he was like you might on TripAdvisor or whatever, you'll get 20 good reviews for that week, like 5 stars, then you'll get one.
And that one is the one you look at.
Yeah, and he's like, it will trash my week. And I'm like, oh, I get it. But then I feel the same in our industry. Like if we deliver something to you subpar and you were unhappy about it, we do 400 deliveries a week. I'll be devastated. I'll be in a.
You want that perfection, even though that perfection it's not realistic because you're never going to please everyone.
No, there's too many moving parts. But then I find that pursuit of that keeps you sharp.
Oh, 100%. It keeps you on top. It keeps your head going. It keeps you on top of your game.
Yeah.
Because you want to be the best you can be.
But then I also feel, going back to the sort of Brits' relationship with food, that I was saying to Mark yesterday, what I've learned through meeting and getting close to people like yourself and Will and things is that actually when I come somewhere like this, it's not about what I like. It's about what you're going to show me what food should be like. And it's me experiencing your taste. And that's why I like the tasting menu. I really got into that because I'm like, cool. Well, oh Jesus, that's fucking awesome. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think there needs to be a sort of cultural shift with, say, your average Joe in terms of that's how you should experience. If I just want steak and chips, I'll go to a Green King. Do you know
exactly.
Yeah. But then it's more around treating my pound note as an experience and viewing it in a different way.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people. Say a lot of people, but people who go into a random pub or whatever, they don't necessarily appreciate food. They just want to be fed.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference to people who go to somewhere for the experience. They go, we're wanting to get into the tasting menus a bit more because it allows us to experiment with different things.
Yeah. Mate, you'd slay.
And it just allows people who actually do appreciate food cooked well and the time taken to just go, never thought I'd have that.
Yeah.
And it's not just a meal, it is the experience. Yeah. It's the wines that we pair with it. It's the knowledge of our front of house team and myself and Lionel, and we'll come and talk to you. But it is heartbreaking sometimes when you come in and I just want a pie. It's like, oh, come on. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a pie, but it's just food, isn't it? It's like, that's the worst thing you could take. It's just food. It just keeps me going for the day. It's like, okay, get out. We don't want you cooking.
But then don't you find, I find it really strange that, like, so, for example, my mum and dad could go on holiday and they'll try something new on holiday, but they won't try something new in the UK. And I'm like,
oh, it's different culture.
Yeah.
Fuck off. No, it's not.
Exactly, yeah. But again, it's my mindset is that I would want to try something new from you because I might not have eaten with you before, and then I'll try something different with Will because I've not eaten with Will before. And it's that you're understanding that chef's creativity on the plate. Like, what can they do with different ingredients? What things I'd never have experienced again, because you will cook different. Will cook different.
Oh, you could give me and Will like a ready steady cook bag.
Yeah. With
piece of lamb, tomatoes, and something else.
Yeah.
And the dishes would nothing would be the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I might steal a few things from him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah. No, I find it really interesting that, like, and people's approach towards it. And I just think, my one of my good friends, Johnny, there's a nice Italian restaurant in Wakefield, and it's we go there quite frequently as friends, and he's like, why would you order a steak in an Italian restaurant? You want to order the most Italian thing you can have, because that's going to be the best they're going to have to do. And the same with, like, if I come in here, Rosette's place, I want what the chef thinks is the best.
There's a place in Borough Market called Patella.
Right.
And if you've ever been, you need to go.
Yeah.
They make pasta fresh every day. It's very cheap as well. Like a plate of pasta is about £8.
Yeah.
I mean, for London alone, that's cheap. And we went a couple of years ago. We had a trip to London, and we just sat down. We looked at the menu, and it's one of those places where you go, I would have one of everything if I could.
Yeah.
So the waitress came over and said, "What would you like?" I was like, "Not a clue. Just bring us anything."
Yeah.
Best thing we've ever done.
Really.
Some of the food was incredible, and it was one of them was the manager's favourite, one of them was the chef's favourite, and then they chucked us something just to say, "There you go."
Really.
And one of them, it was literally pasta, parmesan, anchovy emulsion with like a focaccia rosemary breadcrumb on top. That was it.
Lovely.
It was one of the best passages I've ever eaten.
Yeah.
And it's just trust the people cooking your food. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And with your time in Australia, what have you taken from? How did you find the food scene out there?
I'd say the best way I can describe it, it's a cross between England and America.
Yeah.
Without the sizes.
Yeah.
At the same time. So we went to a few barbecue joints, and it was some of the best meat I'd ever eaten.
Awesome.
But obviously, they've taken that from Texas and things like that. They've got a lot of Japanese influence over there. There's so many sushi restaurants, so many restaurants who, their inspiration is Asian. There was a restaurant called Yakimono, which we went to for my birthday, actually, in the city. And again, some of the best food I've ever eaten, and it's things I've had before, but not done in that way. And it's the Japanese culture of food. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but at the same time, it's some of the most complex food I've ever tried.
Yeah,
and it's just unreal.
Yeah,
and then other times, you can go to the chippy.
Yeah,
get fish and chips and some fried dim sum.
Yeah.
Whoever out there, I'm stating this on record: fish and chips in Australia is not as good or better than English fish and chips. It's just not.
I think the Brits have got that.
They don't do curry sauce. They don't do mushy peas. Mushy peas are vile anyway. Yeah. But my partner did say, "Oh, wait till you have fish and chips in Australia." So I was expecting this amazing. It's gummy sharks. I've never had it before. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah. It just doesn't hit the same. They cook it in oil. Don't cook it in oil. Cook it in beef fat. That's how it should be. End of.
Take 3 years off your life. And
I'm very sorry if I've offended any Australians, but your fish and chips are as good as ours.
It's fair, mate.
But the food over there it's another level.
Yeah.
I would always say to someone, if they've never been, just, if you can, go. Yes, it's expensive to get there, depending on what time of year you go.
You sure?
But just go.
Yeah.
You'll never regret it.
And has Tess given you any recipes from Oz that you've tried or anything? What's her speciality at home?
Do you know what? She enjoys cooking, but she doesn't.
Right.
Why would she when I do?
Well, I'm going to say,
some of her baking is unreal.
Right.
Her cookies are incredible. Her dad's cheesecake is probably the best cheesecake I've had.
Impressive.
I'd probably say her best recipe is a fudge recipe.
Okay.
It's like no other.
Solid, yeah.
Cooking wise, she knows the basics. She can do a good stir fry.
You've got to answer this carefully. This is not
I know she will listen to this.
Yeah.
No, she is good. She knows what she's good at, and she'll stick to that. She will occasionally try something. When we got an air fryer for Christmas, and the first thing she wanted to do was cook belly pork in it. She will try different bits.
Yeah.
But she's very comfortable with what she knows.
Awesome.
So if there's any experimenting in the house, it's me burning the kitchen down probably. Or, cutting myself.
And have you taken, because I think it must be interesting from your perspective, sort of, having a relationship with a foreigner in the best possible way, like, because you must get influence from her in terms of her time in Australia, and then like how that changes your thinking on the menu. I do kind of wonder like how much is like subconscious there, where you're thinking of it was, and then obviously live with an Aussie, and
it's opened my mind to another part of the world. Again, we said before we started the podcast, I never thought I'd go.
Yeah.
And different food styles that I never thought I would not necessarily be interested in, but ever come across.
Yeah.
And it has opened my mind to, even down to how they season and cook a steak. The method is very similar, but the preparation before that is different. And their smoking meats is, they've created their own way compared to the Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to America, so I wouldn't know. But it's going to have to be bloody good to beat the Australians.
Yeah.
I mean, Tessa's dad is. If you were to sort of look at an Australian without knowing they were from Australia, you go, you're definitely Australian.
Right.
Big guy, big beard, kind of thing. Loves his smoke. He's got 2 smokers in the garden, and it's just a completely different lifestyle over there.
Awesome.
So, but yeah.
I do think that's interesting, because I think it's interesting, especially seeing that you guys specialise in game. And in my head, game is a very British thing. And then, how you're going to use those influences from your travels and equally your personal life into that. And I'm sure there will be some. Do you know what I mean? Because game is such a, like I say, this classic pairings, isn't it? But then it's like how you take that to the next level, which you've already done, and then how that continues to like evolve. I think it's really interesting.
We did have a few conversations over there, like barbecues. Everyone knows Australian barbecues are another level, and we were talking about how we'd implement, so like a deer, because they do get venison over there, but not to the rate we do. Like if you ask them what a pheasant is, they have no idea.
Right.
But we don't, how could you implement, instead of doing like a brisket, do it with the venison leg? Nice. So me and my dad, her dad were talking about how he prepares a slow cooked piece of meat, how I would. Yeah. And then we were sort of jotting things down. What could we do with this? We've got a few ideas in the making. Obviously, don't want to say anything yet, just in case it backfires and we go, that was a stupid idea. But yeah.
That's awesome though, man. And again, going back to where we sort of started this conversation, I'm like, you are a little village pub in the Yorkshire days.
We are. You couldn't get any more middle of nowhere than us. I think there's one pub maybe 3 miles away, which is more nowhere than we are.
I know they got taken about like 17 tractors coming in, so it is what it is.
Oh, we had an incident down there the other day. That's for another time. But yeah, I mean.
But that's really cool. Like, I think that's really cool. I don't know whether you see it as cool because you're in it, but looking from the outside in, like, that's really fucking cool. Like, you're taking all this, like, so from literally the other side of the world, whether it be our Japanese ingredients or your experiences with Tess and being abroad, and then putting it into this tiny little country pub.
I mean, you walk through the doors, the last thing you're going to expect is to see, obviously, we've got quite a few awards on the wall. It's the last thing you're going to expect to see from, you look at it and you go, it's going to be a pub.
Yeah, you've got a fucking musket on the wall. I mean, like, it doesn't
exactly. You walk in and there's a deer head. Well, there was a deer, but he's been taken down. Yeah. But all you can see is game and you go, oh, it's just country. Yeah. No, this is what we are. This is what we live and breathe. And
but then you're going to implement in that person's experience that those sort of Austrasian type ingredients and tastes and flavours and the way, even like down to the methods that you were talking around, like I just think that's really cool. And again, equally testament to you in terms of how your mind's thinking and that creativity again. Yeah. It's really cool.
I mean, when we started, obviously talking with you guys, when we first started this relationship with suppliers, etc. We were talking about the game with the Japanesey thing, and someone said to me, "Why would you do that? Would it work? Well, why wouldn't it work?"
Yeah, exactly.
End of the day, it's a piece of meat. Yeah. Everything goes together. Yeah. It's just how that tastes a bit different to that one. Yeah. And it's working so far. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, not all meats we would do with certain Japanese ingredients. Some we do try and keep things or certain things fairly classical, obviously with Lionel being French.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to just be, oh, we do that or that. We want someone to come and go, well, there's 3 different types of cuisine on here, but they're all the same. They all work in the same way.
Well, you've got to keep trying. You've got to keep the same with us. You know, we carry now pretty much 200 Japanese products, and we've gone quite hard in Italian specialty at the moment. And I could just sit there and go, that is a good enough range that would take you 2 years to work your way through everything, trying it with lots of different bits and bobs. But people are shit. Like, I want to come to you. Oh, it's fucking awesome. These songs, but that keeps me entertained. So it probably gives everyone else headaches, but bless everyone.
It's worth it though, isn't it? It's worth it. You've now got to be careful what you're saying.
But I think but then it keeps us fresh, keeps you guys fresh, and you've got to keep trying and trying.
I mean, if you come to me absolutely buzzing off your head because you've just got this new product in, I'm going to be more intrigued to try it. I was like, well, if he's this excited, it's surely going to be good. He wouldn't blow smoke up his house for no reason.
There's been the odd fuck up with that.
Tell you what though, that Sancho powder you brought, it blew my head. We tried it last night and I was like, what the fuck? What is this? Tell you what though, try it and then drink still water. It tastes like soda water.
Oh,
it's mad. We've just created this new thing. But yeah, like if there's ever
that soda stream company, brother. Who knows?
Write that down. Someone write that down.
$1 million idea.
There you go. Just put cooking. But yeah, you'll message me and just say, interested in this. What do you think? And you'll send me a sample and you go, sometimes it's not for us, and then other times we go, fuck, right, get it written on get it onto the dish now. And then we just work it into something if we can't.
My job, as I see it, or our job as a little business, is I just want to give you ideas. It's you who's got to build the play.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So even if we've just got these 2 new awesome misos literally landed yesterday. So
I'll have them.
Nice.
I'll have them.
Good man. That's kind of customer after it, brother. I'm not gonna lie.
Done.
But Rihanna, pack up, we're off. No, but it's how do you? I'd rather you try it and go. It's not for me now, but at some point you may revisit it because you'll be on your little walk. You'll find something and be like, oh, actually that'll work really well.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we appreciate you guys coming up when we first met you with doing a sampling and tasting things. I mean, some of the ingredients I'd never heard of, some of the ingredients I'd never tried, or again, never thought I would try. And then whilst I was tasting, I was like, well, that'd work with this, that'd work with this. And then the other 2 doing it were like, oh, that's really cool. And I'm like, right, what can we do? And it's just forever like that. I mean, we came down to get to see you guys in the new warehouse, and we left, and Tess just went, you get to do that for a living? I went, no, that's a perk of what I kind of do. And you sold it to her,
I work really hard all the time.
And
it's not a good time.
It's an hard life. Someone's, not all heroes wear capes. But, even she was going, why didn't you do, one of those soys? It was actually the koji soy. We use that a lot. We've actually got a bottle at home. And she was like, why don't you do it with something like this? And it's like, for someone who, she loves food, she loves good food, but she doesn't have that sort of foodie drive that I would have. But it even got her going on ideas. To me, that's something different, Not, you wouldn't go to R&J and they go, yeah, try this beef fillet. I like working with customers, or suppliers who will take the time out to look after you. You go down to Courtyard Dairy, and me and Tess went last summer, and we were there an hour trying different cheeses just so so they could sell us the right cheese for us. And it's the same with you guys. If I'm not going to take something, you're not going to get, why do you try that? But if you think I'm going to be interested, you go, have a look at this.
But that's the thing, I think what I learned, because when I bought this business 6 years ago, we did, old owner did just cafes. It was bacon, beans, all that.
It's a very niche market, isn't it?
And I was like, it was just price. So, we'd bring on Bob's Cafe and Bob would save 3p on his beans and he'd go somewhere else. And then all that effort just got washed down the toilet. Whereas, and equally, it didn't interest me. I could just go work for food company manufacturer.
Very vanilla.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas what this has allowed me to do is get passionate about the customer we work with. And it feels like a pitch, but we genuinely stand by it around, I'd rather work with 50 of you versus 500 standard places, because I get passionate about what you do. It keeps me interested and on my toes. And then equally, if Bob comes in and he's going to save you 3p, I don't think he's going to deliver the relationship.
No.
We will deliver on that. And I'd rather grow with you over the years and be excited about your success. And it comes back to what we were saying earlier around like my group of friends is smaller than it used to be, but it's based around they kind of inspire me. Do you know what I mean? And that positive energy, without getting too hippie about it, you know, that positive energy, it pushes me forward. Like, and the same with the customers we work with. I'm like, that works for me in my personal life and then equally in business life. And the same with the guys who work with us. It's taken a long time to get the right team, but right now, got an awesome kick-ass team.
Because to them, it's not just a job.
Yeah.
They're invested into this company as much as you are mentally.
Yeah, a bit like you were lying. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And that's kind of that to me is a fine line. That probably 2 years ago after COVID and stuff. I know a lot of our customers had issues getting standard chefs like commies.
Oh, it's shitter.
Yeah. But then you look at the teams like your little crew and stuff. Are, hardcore, but they're equally disciples of what you're doing, what Lionel's doing, and that really matters, man.
We are lucky to have the team we have, especially after COVID. I mean, COVID ruined the hospitality trade through and through. People's like, I don't know why chefs are going. It's like, I know why, because Tesco's and Morrison's were paying people 20 quid an hour to stack shelves for 6 hours a day. Yeah. I'd do it over COVID, and then it's hard to get out.
Yeah.
And it's hard to bring people in because we're not the biggest company you'll ever come across. So we have a very small financial background. Yeah. And it's hard to bring, I know you're doing that and earning that over here. But come over here, yes, you will earn a bit less. But I promise you'll leave better.
Don't you think, though, that takes age and experience?
Oh, 100%.
You rewind the clock 10 years ago, I was all asked about the paycheck. So I was going, I'd do job 3 years, I'd see a 5-10 grand bump and I'd go.
Yeah.
Whereas what this business has allowed me to do is, yes, I earn less money than I was 6 years ago, but I get a lot of enjoyment from it. I get to do some cool stuff, get to work with some cool people like you, Rianne, like everyone involved in this. Rianne has an idea one day and we fucking do it the next. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Is that bringing it back to what I said earlier about, being successful for me is being happy and enjoying what you do and you go home with a smile on your face. That to me is just that. Yes, I'd rather earn a bit less, but go, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing at the moment. Like I'm actually making an impact on something.
And I find it really interesting with the sort of commie chefs and stuff, say working with people like you or Will or Mark and things, is that what they're going to learn in a year here versus going to work for, let's say, 5 grand more at a big pub chain or whatever, that there's no value on that.
You're not going to get the same experience from it.
And what you can potentially earn after 3 years with you guys, like you've just banged on 20 grand on your salary because of the experience, and you can go in and work with all these sort of obscure-ish type products and deliver this, again, Rosette Michelin's like into experience.
Exactly, I mean, the issue, one of the issues the trade has at the moment is because the chef life has been so glorified. Yeah. So you get to do this, you get to do this. People actually come into the trade and they go, this is nothing what I thought it was going to be.
It's a lot of grind.
So they leave it.
Yeah.
We'll always say to someone, if you come here, you will get experience. I mean, within my first 6 months of being head chef here, I was doing live demos, which I never thought I'd do.
Yeah.
I was then invited to the Escoffier Disciples evening, which is based in, it's held at the Waldorf every year. I was then invited to become a disciple. So you come here, you've got that to look forward to, potentially if you're wanting to do it. You've got 2 disciples of an elite, doesn't sound too big-headed, of an elite sort of group of people. We've got Monica Galletti, we've got Raymond Blanc, we've got Michelle Roux, Pierre Kaufman, Gary Rhodes was in this.
Awesome. And
it's people you never thought you'd get to meet.
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't met them yet because they've all been busy when the night's on.
Yeah.
But that to me is worth more than money.
Yeah.
Because all it takes is one conversation.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You've made it.
Yeah.
And that's what we try and tell people. We've got, a lad, he's been here 4 years now. And he's 23 and he's like, I don't know what I want to do. I do know I want to stay in the trade, but I feel like I've got nothing left here. It's like, no. If that's how you feel, sound.
Yeah.
We will help you look for another job. We've got contacts everywhere across the country. We'll ask guys like you, we'll ask Will, we'll ask anyone, like anywhere, we'll take it.
That's very short-sighted in my opinion.
Exactly.
Because again, it's the way I see it, right, is we back you and Nathan and Will and all these guys. But if you win, we win because you'll level up again. You'll put challenge on us to go and find X, Y, and Z. And then we've got to go do it, or we'll have to come up with a new idea or something.
Exactly, yeah.
And the same, I suppose, for the people who work for you. I'm like, but they get to go on this journey with you, and you're not sat here going, okay, I'll clock off as soon as I can. I'm not asked about doing anything new. You're very much at the forefront all the time of doing new, interesting gear. And again, I come back to what he'll learn at that age. Fast forward to 25, then he can start commanding more money if he decides to move on.
Exactly, and I just said to him, look, as long as these AA packs keep coming through our door, which for 8 years we have managed to maintain a 1 rosette, we just missed out on 2 last year. I'm not going to get into that because I'll start crying. But as long as these plaques keep coming through, you will learn you'll learn something new every day.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing an apprenticeship at the moment. He decided he wanted to go down the college route. Look, he thought, right, it's going to be better for my CV and look better in the future. And he's like, right, what have you got to do? And he gave me a massive list. I went, you would never have done these without doing this.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn so much. You know, we've got halibuts coming in on Friday, which is the first time we've had halibut coming in.
Yeah.
But he gets to experience what it's like to prep a premium ingredient. Yeah. You go down to Wetherspoons or a Green King or a Marsden's, you ain't going to do that. You're going to get a booklet with a brief in it.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to not feel like you're getting anywhere for maybe a year or 2 years. And then all of a sudden, everything just clicks into place and you go, I can now go here and I'm experienced.
Yeah.
And that's where your big money move goes in, and that's where your bigger accolades come in. Yeah. You know, say to him, you go do another 2 years. There's nothing to stop you going to go see Mr. Wignall at the Angel. Yeah. Because you've got that experience.
Yeah. But then equally, mate, I think that I agree with everything you're saying. But the point I think you're not mentioning there is like the way your mind works in terms of that creativity, like that. I think you have to learn a framework around that. Yeah. And he is not, to your point there about Marston's or Green King, you're not learning that there. Because to a degree, what you need is a level of robot there. You know, I'm not saying people don't have their own say, and they're good businesses and stuff, but there's something in getting your mindset, Will's mindset, Nathan's mindset, and it's like, how do they harness that power and start thinking more like you? So then, should an opportunity arise at one point he wants to own his own business, then he can start making his own gear and decisions and be creative with that. And that to me is really important, as well as getting to lay hands on all sorts of different things here. But it's that mentorship. I've been lucky, I've had quite a few mentors at places I've worked over the years. And that, looking back at the grand old days of 41, although I'm 27, that, you know, but, you know, that allows me that, you know, you can make mistakes, and someone's got your back, like I was saying there with you and Lionel. But then equally, you've got that skill set to deal with mistakes when you're not there.
Exactly.
To support them. And that to me is, you know, it's underrated.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the industry, especially, they look at it and they go, if I make a mistake, I'm going to get told off. It's like, I'm never going to tell anyone off if they make a mistake. Yeah. Unless it's the 7th or 8th time I've said, look, come on, do it this way.
Yeah, there's a learning.
Maybe. But I wouldn't be here now if I hadn't made mistakes. Yeah. Whether that's cutting an onion wrong, cooking a piece of meat wrong, or taking the wrong job. Yeah. Yeah. Every mistake is a life lesson. Yeah. And people need to realise that if you've never made a mistake in your life, you've done something wrong. Yeah. Because life's not that easy. No. So that's what we try and drill into the younger chefs. And if someone comes and asks us how to get into the trade, we had a young lad who used to pot wash for us actually, and he's like, I've left uni, it's not for me. I want to get into chefing. What do I do? Yeah. Right, this is what you do. And you just go for it. Yeah. But you need that in you. You need that work ethic. You need that sort of
inquisitiveness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You need that drive. That not just well, he said if I do this, I'll be sound. You need to be better than that. I always look at it. If I could be better than the mentor, or even as good as the mentor, I've done okay. Yeah. And so far, I'm doing all right.
Yeah, oh mate, I'm killing it. But then it's evolution. I found, especially with this, like I had a big team, my last role, you know, big salary, all this stuff. Kind of thought I was the shit. Oh, mate, let's be fine. 6 weeks, I'll have an ale. Fucking
what I know about douche.
But you know, I think though, but it's evolutions. Like, you know, I'm 6 years into this now, and I'm a different person than when I was then, and again, I'll be a different person next year. But it's different issues, you know, and dealing with different people, and the people side of any business, I think, is probably the hardest bit, trying to get that right and getting the team on board and on your mission and all this stuff. And I think it must be more intensified in the kitchen because you need everyone to work to a certain tempo.
Yeah.
And hit it.
I think the biggest thing that helps me though is I've always been taught, whether it's being in a kitchen by a head chef or like even down to my parents, never forget your roots. Like,
Agreed, yeah.
doesn't matter how long you've been in the kitchen. You could have been in the kitchen 35 years. You were once that commie.
Yeah.
So you're going to look at it and go, I've done that before.
Yeah.
So they've got to understand that someone isn't going to get it done first time. You've got to realise that it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Whether it's, like I said, whether it's being a head chef, whether it's being head nurse, whether it's running your own business, you've got to look after the people who are looking after you, because without your team, you're nothing really.
Great.
And again, doesn't matter what position you are.
Yeah.
And you've also got to realise that you were that bottom position once. So you kind of got to rein yourself back from either going absolutely ballistic or trying to show off because you think you're the shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always stick to your roots, I would say.
Yeah. No, mate. It's fair advice. Good life advice. It's funny how parent advice.
Do you know what? My mum or dad are going to listen to this and go, "Told you, listen."
Yeah. Always comes back to haunt you.
Yeah.
Does your mum and dad still come eat here and stuff like that?
They came yesterday, actually.
Awesome.
They always pop up when they can.
Nice.
They came to the tasting menu a couple of weeks back.
Lovely.
They normally just pop up for lunch just because they'll come a bit later on and we'll get our break and we'll see them. But they will occasionally treat themselves to a meal, or we'll treat them to a meal.
Yeah.
And they love it, you know.
That must be quite nice, especially if you cook for your mum when you're younger. And
it is, yeah. I mean, my mum will always sort of tell her friends what I'm doing, where my dad's he's doing all right. He'll never blow smoke.
Yeah.
And he actually pulled me aside when he came to this tasting menu going, "You're actually all right, aren't you?" I was like, I've tried.
Thanks.
Cheers, Dad.
Thanks, boss.
But it's always nice to know that your parents are...
Yeah.
I'm trying not to go too cheesy here, but it's always nice to know your parents are proud of what you're doing, regardless of how much money you're making, where you are. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're the lowest position in the kitchen or, CEO of the Microsoft or whatever. If they're proud of you, that's it.
Matt. It's and do you still cook with your mum now and again? She's still quite a big I suppose, is she an influence in your food? I feel like
my mum was an amazing cook when I was younger. She was always the cook of the house. My dad's limited. He can poach an egg. Yeah. And he's an all right baker. My brother burns scrambled eggs.
Right.
And he'll probably listen to this and shout at me. But my mum was always an inspiration in the kitchen. She always jokes about, I showed you everything you knew.
And since you've been doing this, does she get more adventurous with what she's doing, or? Yeah,
somewhat with what I do. Others, she went through a bit of stuff that she had to go to a certain diet for.
Right.
And won't go into that. But I actually saw her looking into different sort of styles or cuisines or ingredients because she couldn't have the things she would like. But if I ever go back home and cook, she's in the kitchen, and some of the things I see her doing, you go, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to keep quiet. It's mum. And other times I'm just like, well, how would you do it? And she'll quiz me, and then she'll turn around and she'll go, well, I do it like this. I'm like, well, you do it that way. And then she'll be like, well, why hasn't it worked? I went, because you didn't do it the right way. And she'll like, well, who do you think you are? I went, I'm an award winner now. Like, surely you're going to listen to me at some point, mum. But she's brilliant in the kitchen. She's like me. She just loves cooking. You know, we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago about Christmases. We've now got a big enough space to host Christmas. Yeah. At our house, and she's like, no. What do you mean no? She went, I do Christmas. Right. I was like, all right, whatever. And then the time before that, she was like, I can't wait until you host Christmas, so I don't have to do it. You're contradicting yourself all the time, but she just loves cooking. Brilliant. She just loves it.
Oh mate, that's awesome. And I think that being able to share that with people you love and stuff, that's a really cool experience. Especially the job you do. Like, if you go down to the basics of what you do, it's just you feed people love without being double cheesy myself, and all that sort of stuff. And that's such a cool experience to pass on to your kids or share with your mum and dad or share with Tess. And that's really cool. Bro.
It is cool. Like a lot of people don't realise what food can actually do. Yeah. Like whether it's you're going out with your mates or it's a business meeting and everything's evolved around food, and sometimes it brings memories back to you from I brought a dessert on a couple of weeks back, and it was something my dad used to do as a kid, and it's like, how do I bring that into a fine dining element? One of the elements of the fish dish, like we used to have barbecues all the time as kids, and mum always used to do new potatoes on the barbecue. Yeah. And just tasting one just sort of brings that back to being a kid. Awesome. So right, put it on the menu. Awesome. So refine it slightly. Yeah. Food it's an amazing thing, and I wish more people would appreciate it more than it's just a plate.
It's back to the roots, though, isn't it?
Exactly.
If you could put on a fine dining menu with Mum's tuna fish casserole with crisps on the top, I'll be impressed, brother.
Do you know what? I've used my mum's smoked mackerel pate before.
Right, nice.
She bollocked me for it. That's my recipe. I was like, yeah, but I'm borrowing it. I'm borrowing it, Mum. I'm sorry. But you know, you just do.
But it's cool. I like that. Like, you know, how you're able to using. If you go back to sort of summarising the podcast here, like, you know, you're taking all your experience up to this point, and you're taking your influence from Tess, your travels, and then equally your roots with your mum, and that's really cool. Like, in terms of how that molds you, and then, you know, like, I'm always excited with what you're doing, like, because you always push the boundaries, which to me equally pushes me.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that works really well, and it's exciting to see where you go from here with that. So, what do you feel? Just to kind of round off, brother, because I know we've taken a lot of your time.
No, it's all right.
Like, where do you see the future? What's kind of in the next game plan, really?
Game plan for me, obviously, stay here for a bit.
Yeah.
Do our best to get that second rosette.
Nice.
If he doesn't come, he doesn't come. I'm over the. Well, I haven't won it, so I haven't done anything kind of mentality. After this place, me and Tess are looking next year, setting up on our own.
Nice.
We're wanting to do like a pop-up street stall.
Awesome.
So we travel around Yorkshire, going to different microbreweries, setting up outside and stealing their customers.
Yeah.
And then we are also wanting to, on the side of that, do like a private dining event.
Nice.
So we go into people's houses, and then we can give them award-winning food and
that's
service.
That's a cool vibe, man. Like, there's been a lot of people do that recently. I think that's a really interesting space.
I mean, some of our really good friends, they have a stall called Nico's Comfort Kitchen. Mm-hmm. Shout out to them. And he said it's the best thing he's ever done.
Yeah.
And some of the food he's doing, it's just dirt. It's filthy food. And it's just, he just has a pure passion for it. So we're looking to do that. We're not necessarily over the whole restaurant thing, but we wanted to do something on our own, something completely different.
Yeah.
That makes people look back and go, that's bloody good.
Awesome.
And it makes people happy. And
what
better way to do that than shoving a burger in someone's face?
Oh. I'll be the first customer, mate, with that. Jesus.
There you go. Well, free food for you, mate. So yeah, that's our next step for us. So
awesome, brother. Listen, man, well, really appreciate your time today, brother.
Thank you very
you
much.
are a constant inspiration. Love working with you. Do me a favour. You're also my tattoo inspiration all the time, because you've always got new ink.
Love it. Yeah, that was Melbourne as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Cheers. So yeah, man. Well, yeah, excited to see what the future holds.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, people can catch you Instagram.
So either the Clarendon Instagram or mine. I think the Clarendon's on TikTok as well, actually.
Wow, so, you are.
Yeah. I don't have anything to do with TikTok.
Yeah, no. Rihanna, I was like Rihanna's like, I should do TikTok. I'm way too old for that.
But yeah, Clarendon Country Pub or at mattyhind.chef or the Hunter Gatherer Yorkshire, which is Lionel's. That's probably the most. That's where you to catch us all, awesome. Really.
Come try your food. Yeah.
Yeah, come and try us. We'll hopefully change your concept of what game is meant to be and should be.
Awesome. Great.
Cheers, brother. Thank you very much,
man. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us on another Chef Life podcast. I've been your host, Alistair. If you'd like to learn more about our business, you can visit us at www.cottagefoodsLTD.com. Give us a follow and a like on Instagram, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.